Drag racing fan, Monday Morning Racer here, back in the office, back in the studio, if you will. Just got back in the day from Texas. It seemed like I was never going to get back, but definitely glad to be right back here with you all. I think we had a great little show last week live from the Rail Yards Park there in Waxahachie, Texas, during the Fan Fest, which I learned that it was one of the larger fan fests that the NHRA has really had and seen, because 34 drivers were there. There are usually only like 10 drivers. So, again, kudos to the Texas Motorplex and what they were able to accomplish and what they were able to get off the ground. And it was a great week of drag racing. I was there for an entire week, from Monday with the Nitro Sideshow to testing on Monday again itself. And we're going to be talking about some of those things, but definitely looking forward to who we have on the show tonight. You all know that I have a particular passion. I keep an eye out on the smaller teams and the independents, as they're often called. Like the Bobby Bodeys, the Doug Foleys, the Kyle Wurtzels, those guys. I keep an eye on them. And Dale Creasy Jr. and the Creasy family, they had a really good weekend. We're going to have Dale Creasy Jr. on in about 25 minutes or so, 30 minutes. We're going to have him on. We're going to chat with him. He's going to be on just through audio, but we will be able to chat with him. They were able to click off a $3.99, finally cracking into the threes for this team. And it was exciting to see that. I was talking to one of their crew members before that very run, and just they were excited. They knew they were getting closer. And I was able to look at it. Man, it's close. You're going to get it, and when y'all get it, it's going to feel good. And we've got a clip set up tonight from NHRA.TV. Thanks to American Hot Rod Entertainment for sending it over to me. Check his YouTube channel out when you get a chance. We're going to play it. We're going to talk to Dale Creasy Jr. and more than just a $3.99. We're going to dive in on the team, the car, and the Creasy name has been out in NHRA, IHRA, drag racing period for a very long time. So we'll see if we can dig in and get some information from Dale and learn about the family in about 30 minutes or so. Let me go to the questions, comments real quickly, and then we might dive into some news. Well, we'll definitely dive into some news. Mike McConnell. Good evening, Lee. Enjoyed our talk this last weekend in Joe's pit. That week was a blast, except Joe blowing the valve cover off. Man, yes, it was an interesting weekend for Joe Morrison. Again, that explosion looked far worse than what it was. No major parts were damaged. It was literally a big oil and fuel flash fire blowing off the valve cover when a spark plug decided to take an early exit before the 1,000 feet. Darren Williams Jr., American Hot Rod Entertainment, says, yo, Stan, MMR, let's talk about the big news. We're going to talk about the big news there. We're also going to have a little bit of a preview going into the finals for the PDRA. That's on the docket for the show. And then we'll bring on our guest, Dale Creasy Jr., and chat it up with him. James, what's up, MMR? Happy race weekend. Yes, happy race weekend. Hope you enjoy your time at Bristol. I am going to be at the PDRA for the Brian Olson Memorial Finals, where champions will be crowned, and there are some good championship battles within the PDR ranks to keep an eye out on, that we will discuss shortly. And Tom chimes in from Jonesville, South Carolina. What a day we have in NHRA drag racing news-wise. What a event, we come off of going into Bristol, being in a unique place for it in the countdown, not on the Father's Day weekend. And this may very well throw the proverbial wrench into the championship chase, that conditions being so different from what is typically a warmer Bristol, a very tracky Bristol, very tricky Bristol. How will the tuners handle that track in conditions that would possibly be at any other track, even possibly for Bristol, record-setting type of conditions? Very quickly, the Stampede of Speed, as you can see, great event. The Texas Motorplex put on a stellar event. The first part of that event, that Sunday going into the racing, you had a concert there of like 28,000 plus people attended, and a lot of those people were first-time attendees ever to the Motorplex. For all those that may be chiming in and saying Monday and Tuesday and even the testing day on Wednesday, where was everybody? Why were these events so poorly attended? Well, I don't have all the answers for you. I do want to say this. Yes, there was promotion. There was promoting and trying to get the news out. Andy Carter had been on the Competition Plus Power Hour talking about these events. He'd been on the West Buck Show, and we've had others on the West Buck Show. And you've had myself and Sam, we've been mentioning it. And the Texas Motorplex had been putting out posts regularly on Twitter and Facebook about what was happening. I think we live in a day and time where people just don't keep great tracks of their calendars, frankly, when it comes to brand new events and new things happening. So, what do I mean by that? Well, I pastored a church for a while, and it's fascinating. You do something brand new in that type of setting, you can announce it for 6 weeks, verbally, electronically, and in written form. And yet it comes to the very day, and people are like, is that today? What time is it? Or that you see them the next day, and they're like, oh, we were doing that day? Come on, man. Come on. It seems to be what happens. I want to take away that the Texas Motorplex decided to do something that's a bit of a first and have a whole race, a speed week, and events around racing. There were a whole lot of positives, and if there's any of those negatives, which there were, we've got to be honest, I assure you, everything I can understand, the Texas Motorplex is going to handle it, deal with it, and I expect the Stampede of Speed to be even better next year. And you saw what there was this year. Make sure you plan accordingly and get those flights ready, get those motels ready, and come enjoy vacation down in Texas. Because I had myself one heck of a good week. Darren chimes in, says NHRA Heritage Series season finale, California Hot Rod Reunion in Bakersfield, California next weekend. Can't wait. Yes, sir. Get out there, get that content, and enjoy it. Drag Racing Central. I'm more surprised Tony brought Matt over to TSR. We're going to get there in just a moment. Going to get there in just a moment. On that news, the first domino that fell, and ladies and gentlemen, in the world of NHRA drag racing, that's what I think we've got to recognize. You are going to see a domino effect. We are not done with major announcements. I think one of the first major announcements that frankly is underrated and under the radar, I think widely, is the fact that at the Texas Motorplex, Camry Caruso announced that, well, they're not going to go and run Mountain Motor Pro stock. They're no longer going to run Outlaw 632 in the PDRA. No, they have decided as a family, along with their sponsors and supporters, they are going to run NHRA Pro stock. And she will be the only other gal out there along with Erica Enders. I think that was major news. I think that should be talked about and played up more than what it is. We have the major announcement, Tony Schumacher will be back in the car. And that came out before the Tony Stewart announcement. And I really felt when that was announced, Tony Schumacher coming back, I imagine a lot of folks out there that have heard the rumors began saying, oh, there's a lot more validity to these moves than we ever thought, hearing that Tony is going to come back and being that top fuel dragster at least for 1 year for the DSR camp. And obviously today at 11 a.m., ZMAX Dragway, it was announced, along with Glenn Cromwell, the president of the NHRA, on the stage, that Matt Hagan and Leah Pruitt will be a part of Tony Stewart Racing, fielding 2 NHRA teams, one in Top Fuel, one in Funny Car. Leah driving the Top Fueler and Matt driving the Funny Car. And I think this is great for the sport of NHRA drag racing. 2 reasons. One, Tony himself. It is great to hear Tony. It is great to hear Tony himself, as Thomas mentions here, question, what is Tony going to drive? Well, he's been in the Top Fueler, and he's tested that many times. But as he said in the press conference, as he has said on the Wes Buck Show, as he has said in print, he does not believe that he's ready for competition in these cars, and that driving these cars is far more challenging than anybody really thinks they are. They're far more challenging than he even realized, and he doesn't think he is there yet. Does he have the money to probably put one in the show? Sure. But I appreciate his respect for this motorsport coming from other motorsports, and how unique, how different, and how challenging it is that he would express, being a man of so many championships, whether as driver or owner, in more than just NASCAR. We're talking about USAC and IndyCar and beyond, and even getting to wheel an F1 car on a particular occasion, that he has stated that these are challenging cars to drive, when so often the narrative is, oh, those guys just go straight. No, and you've got someone that is definitely used to being out of control and used to going in circles left and right, saying these are challenging race cars to drive. I think that's good, number one. Secondly, with Tony Stewart coming into the sport, you have eyeballs that are going to be looking at NHRA drag racing that did not look at it before, because it is Tony Stewart. And the Tony Stewart name and the brand Smoke is known throughout the motorsports world. And those fresh eyeballs and those fresh partners that they have not announced yet, but I believe we will be seeing soon, as they did mention, and they may very well be different from what we have seen in the past. Obviously, Matt Hagan and Leah Pruitt, being Don Schumacher Racing Cars or team members, they have been heavily involved with Dodge, but the relationships with Tony Stewart go far deeper than just Dodge. He's had relationships with nearly every manufacturer, and I know he's willing to make a change, because if you remember, for years, he was a GM driver, whether that was Pontiac or Chevrolet in the NASCAR ranks, and when he has the opportunity to create his own team, they start out as a GM product with the Chevrolet nameplate, but deals were made, and his teams are now Ford. Could we see them become a player with Ford in the NHRA ranks, and Ford have a top fuel dragster that is supported with Leah and Matt Hagan actually running, well, a Ford body? Who knows what type of partnerships Tony is going to bring to the table, but he will definitely bring them to the table. As Doug Core says, it's going to be interesting next year. Yes, it will be. The domino effect is still in play, and the last domino for the silly season, or the Toolbox Nationals, or so, as some like to say, in reference to NHRA drag racing, the last one has not fallen. I am confident of that. It has just begun. I believe one of the first ones, that first domino with Camry Caruso, falls right into the Tony Schumacher one, right into the day's announcement with Tony Stewart Racing. But I expect that we very well could see a domino fall in Ron Capps. I believe we are not done seeing dominoes fall concerning major announcements and, well, NHRA drag racing looking completely different in the fuel ranks, at least for 2022. If you've been watching long enough, you will know, and I made mention of this, but I think the era of the super teams may very well be done. The roots that Larry Minor put in place and the cornerstone, if you will, that Joe Gibbs put in place, that Don Schumacher Racing and John Force Racing then built a whole empire, as it were, it is going to look completely different. It will. When you saw Tommy Johnson Jr. and Fast Jack Beckman no longer have rides and marketing partners were not found for there to be two more Don Schumacher Racing funny cars, the period of the super teams, I think was going to be quickly eroding and evaporating. And I think we're seeing that. I think it may be good for the sport. I think what you are going to see is technical alliances begin to form where the Ford teams will interact with and work far more closely with each other than they ever did before, as the Toyota teams already are. I think that's what you're going to see. And there's rumors with the John Force Racing camp. There are rumors everywhere. That's why, folks, do not be shocked about news coming out this year. Everything seems to be on the table in NHRA drag racing, especially in the fuel ranks. Well, before we move on to talk a little bit PDRA, let me go into the comments once again. You all have been commenting. Thank you. Hit the like button for me. Hit the share button. Again, in a few moments, about 15 minutes or so, we're going to have Dale Creasy Jr. on, and we'll be chatting with him. Pat says, how can you complain about how many people show up? Be prepared. If a lot show up, you went early and beat the crowd. If not many show up, be excited that you have all the teams to yourself. I mean, yeah, that's kind of how I look at it, Pat. And, you know, everybody has been saying about, the crowds, the attendance, things of that nature. Look, I had a good time. And everybody that I interacted with had a good time. And there is a bit of misrepresentation, I think, of the crowds, especially like Monday night. You know, people are saying nobody's there. Well, that's inaccurate. I would estimate that Monday night's crowd was probably about 1,000 or so for this brand new program, a Nitro sideshow. And you roughly had about 1,000 people there. And most of them weren't in the stands. They were closer to the starting line. They were allowed to be there, and they wanted to be as close as they could get. Also, remember, folks, the Texas Motorplex has more grandstands than just about any other racetrack I think the NHRA goes to. When you have a decent crowd at the Motorplex, it would look packed elsewhere. And that can be a bit of a misnomer. Again, I think the greatest thing to take from the week is the Texas Motorplex said, we're going to try something, and we're going to do it. And they did it, and I think they did it well, and I think they've got something to work towards the future, and I expect the Nitro Sideshow, and I expect the Drag Illustrated shootout for $25,000 of Pro Mod on Tuesday night, and I expect the movie showings and those type of things with the stars of NHRA to be that much more well-attended in the years to come. The Fan Fest night was great. And I think the other nights, I would have liked to seen a little bit more people there on Friday night, but we are talking about a region of the world where Friday night and high school football. I mean, look, folks. You know, God, football, Texas. You might have to pump some things up. Might have to discount a ticket a little bit more to get those butts in those seats on Friday night. But good show on Friday night. I did feel. Love the pyro, love the smokes, love the energy from the announcing booth. Stan, MMR, I've said many times, the NHRA only cares about Nitro and the sportsman's back gate. There is that argument for sure, and they have had issues this year that have not looked good concerning pro stock. But beyond that, you've got to give credit to Richard Freeman and what they do. And like, they put up money at the Texas Motorplex, and there's this funny scene where it's like, for like top qualifiers, like $1,500 from Elite. And who are they giving it to? Giving it to Greg Anderson. So here's Richard Freeman handing a big check with Elite on it to Greg Anderson. That's obviously KB Racing. Mike Ashley joins us. Hello from 30,000 feet in the air, somewhere between New York and Charlotte. Mike, thank you for watching. Drag Racing Central, my hero, Tony Schumacher, is returning. That's all I need. Hey, glad to hear that he is returning, and it will be good to have him back. I hope we have a great standoff between Tony Schumacher and Steve Torrence. Stan, from what I understand, yes, it will be back. I know individuals such as Doug Foley have already mentioned about being in Phoenix and testing. So there must be something out there somewhere that people do expect that testing will be back. MMR, there is any chance that Caps goes over to John Force Racing? Well, at this point, I would never say never, especially with what we've already had announced and what I expect will be dominoes to fall. But on the Competition Plus Power Hour, Ron Capps mentioned that he wants to own his own car. I think that possibility and that context for him may well be accelerated this year than him thinking it's further down the road. I don't know. I haven't talked to Ron about that specifically, and we're all waiting for more announcements, but I do know Ron has a desire to own his own team, just like Antron's doing, and putting that into full effect and operation. Darren Williams Jr., that was one of the greatest races I ever have been to. Yes, American Hot Rod Entertainment was there. He'll have a video coming out soon. Be sure to check him out and his recap. He also says the woman on the horse parading the American flag and the flyover after the anthem was amazing, then firing off two top fuel dragsters. Hey, they did it right. They did it Texas size all week. It was great. Rob Flynn. Rob, great to have you watching. Great crowd on Sunday. Yes, sir, I agree. I think it was a great crowd on Sunday. I think it was a great show. What great racing we saw. The finals were great. So many great stories. Lyle Barnett winning. Good to see Justin Ashley, break through. There should have been wins earlier this year, arguably, in many other places, and they break through. And great to see that. And I think they are going to be tough for the rest of this championship race. And Caps coming away with a win and making it that much closer on Hagan. And Funny Car has been so great to watch this year. Great action for the NHRA Fall Nationals, the Stampede of Speed at the Texas Motorplex. Well, let's switch gears just for a moment and talk a little bit of PDRA, the Professional Drag Racers Association. This weekend, they will run the Brian Olson Memorial World Finals, a rare Sunday running. Yes, they are already testing today. They will qualify tomorrow. They will have extra rounds of qualifying on Saturday. They typically race on Saturday, and they will have final eliminations beginning, I believe, at noon on Sunday, which is a rarity for the PDRA. So they're going to get all their shots loaded and ready to fire for these championship battles that still remain in the PDRA. And what are those battles? Well, first of all, Jim Halsey, he's your champion in Pro Nitrous. No one really had much of anything for Jim Halsey for most of the year. I will say here recently, it does seem like some individuals, such as Tommy Franklin, have found the combination once again to be highly competitive. And Tommy Franklin, being an individual that you could say, hey, we need to pick him to win, I think that would be a wise move at his home track, last race, doing some, hey, I'm still here, don't forget about me, in Pro Nitrous ranks of the PDRA. But I have to agree with Wes Buck. I think Jay Cox is going to win the Brian Olson Memorial Finals there at Virginia Motorsports Park this weekend in Pro Nitrous. I'm going pumpkin power. That orange car that's running Pat Musey power now, I believe he's going to get it done. And this is why I think it will be Jay Cox. Jay Cox gets to a point where you're like, you know what? We can't pick him no more. And when you get to that point, when people start saying, hey, you can't pick him no more, that's when Jay Cox fires off and gets a win and reminds everybody, I'm still here, and the pumpkin might just be your jack-o'-lantern to your winning effort. Jay Cox, I think he wins obviously, Jim Halsey has wrapped up the championship. Now, where we do have an excellent battle is in Pro Boost. Kevin Rivenbark, with the wreck that he had in testing, hops in another car. The performance was there, but he does lose round one of a tricky Galot track there at Drag Wars Galot Motorsports Park. And Todd Tutterow goes on, performs well, and makes it even to the final round and tightens up the championship race. Todd Tutterow very well could come away with this championship, but I think you will have a great story in Kevin Rivenbark winning the championship and pulling it out by a hair, squeaking it out over the competition in Pro Boost that has been a great, strong class once again this year to watch in PDRA competition. Where we have the most drama is in Extreme Pro Stock. There was a point in time that nobody would have said that J.R. Carr would go into the final race with an opportunity to win the championship. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that has happened. He does have an opportunity to win the championship. Johnny Placino also has a mathematical chance to win the championship. The points leader is Chris Powers. Some 80 odds points is what he is leading by. J.R. Carr, I stated it in his Maple Grove win that he had become the third man in this championship race. And though a dark horse, that team has continued to win and has continued to perform well, and they've even overcome adversity, having the wreck in St. Louis, getting the car all back together and coming out and performing well at Galot. The points for qualifying number one and the wins that he has picked up and him going to the final round this past race has put him in a place to win the championship. Here's my call. Going into the final race, I think the man with the quickest and the fastest Mountain Motor Pro Stock car, which is technically J.R. Carr, gets it done and will surpass Chris Powers in the championship lead and will get the race. J.R. Carr sweeps it. J.R. Carr makes a statement that though he was the loser at the beginning of the year, he becomes the hero at the end of the year and pulls it out with that bad, fast hot rod that he's got. My picks there for the PDRA Brian Olson Memorial Finals is, again, that Halsey, everyone knows he's got the championship, but that Jay Cox wins in Pro Nitrous. The winner of the championship is Kevin Rivenbark in Pro Boost. And the championship goes to J.R. Carr, and he wins the events. There's my picks. Either way, whether I'm right or wrong, I'm going this weekend to the PDRA, and I am looking forward to seeing great drag racing action at that track. It is going to be stellar, and I'm sure we're going to step away from this year in PDRA competition, and we are going to just be like, wow, what a run. Wow, what a battle. Wow, did not expect that to happen and to take place. So, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to look at the comments, and we're going to soon get Mr. Creasy on the show. Let me actually text him real quick and let him know so we can have him transition and get ready. But it's going to be a good show there at the PDRA. It's going to be a good show. Really quickly, Drag Racing Central chimes in. And, folks, by the way, Drag Racing Central put out first YouTube video, I believe today or yesterday. And go check out Drag Racing Central. Give the guy support. Top Fuel 173. Oftentimes you would see him comment. But check out his YouTube channel when you get a chance. Right there, Drag Racing Central. PDR picks, Pro Nitrous, Jason Harris. It's a good pick. Pro Boost, King Tut. Obviously, good pick. And Extreme Pro Stock says J.R. Carr. All right. Hello, Billy. Hope you're doing well. Man. Stan says to Pumpkin. Yes, I agree. It's October. It's pumpkin everything. Pumpkin spice, pumpkin lattes, pumpkin pie, pumpkin this, pumpkin power in Jay Cox. Tony Wilson, that is not a bad pick at all. Doug Core, Ron Capps moving to Antron Browns would be a good pairing and give him a chance for ownership. You never know what might work out, man. You never know what might work out. Eric chimes in and says, thank you for content. Eric, just trying to get it out. By the way, folks, out there right now, I do have several new videos, and you're going to see a lot of videos rolling and coming out. And those videos are testing from the Texas Motorplex and also action from PDRA, the last race at Galat. So right now you've got 2 testing videos from Texas from Wednesday. That's the longer version with A Fuel, Pro Mod, Pro Stock, Top Fuel, Funny Car, and Pro Stock Motorcycle. And then you also got testing from Monday where Travis Shoemake was attempting for his license, the son of Trip Shoemake. And he just needs one more run. Didn't quite get it, but he battled through just getting used to the car and made a stellar pass at a 4 flat at 319 miles per hour in Dale Worsham's Funny Car. And Brad Tuttle was working out and knocking off the rust and about knocked me off. I was standing in an interesting place for his burnout. You got to check that out when you get an opportunity. But that's the shorter testing video. And you also already have the Nitro side show night. That was Monday night. Tuesday night eliminations from Texas will be coming up as well. So there's a lot of great content on the YouTube channel for you to check out. If you're watching on Facebook, you definitely need to go to the Monday Morning Racer YouTube channel. Check out the content there. A ton of content for you to see. Very quickly, and we'll get Dale Creasy on. MMR, since you go to NHRA events, do they not let you upload eliminations like PDRA does? Well, I don't know exactly, and I don't want to push it. I'm already on their radar, and I don't need to be on their radar even more than I am. You can ask Darren Williams Jr., you can ask others. I kind of broke through, and they don't know what to really do with me. Am I media? Yes. And do I have to play by some different rules than just a fan videotaping, popping it up on their YouTube channel? Well, yes. And are there other YouTube channels that I can go to right now? And I'm like, why can they do it and I can't do it? Yes. If I go to other social media feeds, I'm like, why are they doing it and yet I can't do it? Yes. Do I think there might even be a double standard? Yes. Do I understand why? No. Do I really want to push the subject? Not right now. But I don't mind cutting red tape. And if it ever comes down to it, I'll when I got to. So there's that. PDRA? Yes. The PDRA is so open to media being there, and I can get what I want, how I want it, as long as I'm not being stupid, kind of like I was when Brad was doing his burnout, and get content that is at different angles and unique positions and places and put together an entire elimination video. Now, you also got to remember, Drag Racing Central, that when I'm out there and I'm working for a team, I'm working for Doug Foley, I'm helping out other teams and doing social media for them, I just have a completely different aim and goal on those particular weekends than I do at the PDRA. And when I'm at the PDRA, I am covering the race. But at an NHRA national event, sometimes I'm not covering a race, I'm covering a team. And they have picked up the tab, they are paying me, and, well, there you go. I've got to make sure that they are given back for what they have provided. Well, ladies and gentlemen, look, we are going to take a quick break, and right after that break, I'm going to show you that $3.99 run by Mr. Creasy, and we're going to get him on. So real quickly, let's take a break, and we'll be right back. See another video, and we'll have Dale Creasy Jr. live on the show. Power-Built Tools exemplifies innovation in the tool industry. From hand tools, power tools, and even tool storage. Check out powerbuilt.com for Power-Built Tools. And remember, use promo code MMR15 for 15% off at purchase. Well, ladies and gentlemen, get those power built tools. Christmas will be here before you know it. 15% off with promo code MMR15. And Dale Creasy Jr. and the Creasy family gang, they definitely were turning the tools to get the car tuned up for a $399 blast, their first one ever. Milestone for them. Great accomplishment. Kudos and courtesy of NHRA.TV and American Hot Rod Entertainment sending over to me this clip. Let's look at it from qualifying at the Motorplex.
What the heck was that? A 399. Look at him on the starting line. They've been looking for that 3-second run for a long time. 323 miles an hour. Dale Creasy moves up to number 11. Hey, it's all about setting goals, chasing goals, accomplishing goals, and look how jacked up that team is for that 3-second run. Joe, that was special for those guys.
Oh, yeah. Look at Steve Creasy, this family racing team. They put so much time, so much effort into it, and you got that 3-second run. What is it like?
I can't describe the words that I don't know what to say. I want to thank this guy right over here, Tony Byer. He's Tech Pack, and he's what makes us come out here. He's what pays the way. So I want to thank Kelly Hood. I want to thank Dennis Jameson. I don't know what to say.
New clutch program, is that what did it?
That's a fact, a fact. I want to thank John Force Racing and Don Schumacher Racing also.
Everybody's helping you guys.
Oh, yeah.
Dale, are you out there, man?
I'm here.
Oh, awesome. We got him, folks, ladies and gentlemen. Well, man, look, we just watched it there again. You were obviously in that hot rod. Congratulations on cracking into the threes. Take us into the cockpit and your thoughts on finally getting that milestone blown away.
I knew it was a good run. We had been getting close for the entire year. We've been running 4.0s and having little problems, just new stuff problems, and we finally got everything straightened out. And in the heat of the day, the thing goes out there and does what we set to do. So even when I watch a video, I still get chills.
Man, that's so cool. You still get chills watching the video and thinking about it. And look, I got a photo of the car that I took on Sunday up right now. Talk to me about your hot rod and Tech Pack and Goodson and Beaver Shredding and all the partners involved. You know, talk to us about them even right now early on so folks understand everybody involved.
Yeah, well, Tech Pack has been with us since 1995. Their involvement is huge for us to keep going. They gave me a spot in one of their warehouses to use as my shop, and the guy takes care of parts for us and helps us out all the time. And he comes to all the races. And Beaver Shredding's probably been with us 15 years. Stan is the owner of Beaver Shredding, and I mean, he's been wonderful. And all the other vendors, Goodson, TX7, ARP, XRP, you know, all those vendors that help us with parts, whether it be discount or free parts, all that helps us keep going.
It definitely does. I know Goodson, they help out a lot of teams. I know they definitely help out Doug Foley, who I work for, and they're a great bunch over there. They're definitely passionate about drag racing, and glad to see them on the Creasy family ride. And look, speaking of family, I'm going to bring up the photo, see if I can, right here. I believe that's your brother, Steve, helping out, bringing you into the beams. So what is it like working with family and also being a part of a family that, I mean, how long has your family been in drag racing? It's got to be at least 4 to 5 decades now at this point, right?
Oh, easily. I mean, I've been started with my dad in 1977, and I've been on my own since probably 2003. Me and my brother running our cars. So, I mean, the next license that I sign will be my 25th year driving Nitro Funny Cars.
Wow, 25 years.
That was a milestone that I started. That was a goal that I set. Yeah. Yeah, I didn't even realize it until somebody brought it up this year, and I'm like, holy, it's pretty. I mean, just an accomplishment to be around that long with an independent car. We've had sponsorship over the years, but most of the time it's been, you know, hit or miss. You go to the races that you can afford to go to, and you know, we go there to run as good as we can. That's why we only run a few races a year, Because if I try to stretch it out, we have to baby it. So we go there to run as hard as we can run every time we go.
And y'all definitely can get the job done. I remember, a year ago, maybe two. A year ago, you were able to beat, I believe it was Tommy Johnson Jr. in the first round and got that win at the U.S. Nationals. So you're not a team to take lightly. Y'all keep people honest. And with running a 399, folks have got to realize even more. Oh, they're going to keep us even more honest.
Yeah, that's with the way the Schumacher Camp and Forest and Gladys and the cars like that. At this point, we know we can't run 390 flat, but if we could run 402 to 398 every run, they can't make a mistake. And that's, we're not counting on them making a mistake, but if they do happen to, we're closer now, so the mistakes have to be a little less, and we can still win.
Now, I think back, and I can remember like your family having a great 1995 Winter Nationals with a beautiful funny car at that time. But, there wasn't a Creasy in the pit. I can't remember the guy's name
Gary
now.
Bolger.
Bolger, there we go. Thank you, Bolger. When did that transition happen that you began driving, and why was that decision made? Why not have a hired gun in it? Those type of things. What was internally happening with the team?
Well, Gary knew that I wanted to drive. I mean, I had wanted to drive my entire life, and he knew I would never get the opportunity as long as he was there. So it was his decision. I didn't even know about it. We were at the St. Louis race, 96, 95, and we went out to dinner, and he said, "It's yours." And I didn't even know what to say, but he was a mentor between him and Gary Dencham, coaching me all along the way, and without them, I probably wouldn't be where I'm at right now.
Well, firing off at 399 and hitting that milestone, I know that is, as you mentioned, you still get chills, goosebumps, seeing the video and thinking about it. How many moments have there been, though, for you, for the family, for others involved of, man, why in the world are we still coming out and doing this? Let's go do something else. Like, how many of those moments have y'all had to get through, and what have some of them been?
It depends on what day you're talking about.
Yeah.
Because it's Friday at the Texas Nationals. We had a fuel leak. We had dropped cylinders and blew the injectors off it. And I'm thinking, what are we doing? And we just, my theory is just keep going. Put it back together and keep going. We will get it one of these days, and the next day everything worked out good. But there's been probably more times that I'm thinking to myself, driving home from the shop, what are you doing? But about halfway home, I'll come up with a solution and go back and work some more.
There you go. Never quit. Keep on going and keep on doing it. And I tell you what, this has been a time period for the NHRA that the Dale Creasys, the Bobby Bodie's, the Kyle Wurtzels, the Doug Foley's, I don't know if there's ever been a time they've ever been more important than right now. Have you sensed that? Have you sensed, like, from the NHRA to you and your team that you all are a bit more important this year than in the past, and that they need these independent teams such as yourself?
I have always had a good relationship with NHRA. Graham Light and I were friends. And when Ned Wallister took over, I've known him for many years. And it was just an opportunity to have somebody there that that you can talk to, that understands what you're doing. And I've never felt like an outsider at NHRA, like they didn't need the little teams. But in the last couple of years, it's like they talk to you, they want you to come. It's just more communication. So I think that's what you're seeing.
Well, that's a good deal. That's a good deal, and good to hear it from your front. While I do got you here, for a long time, I didn't know you had this nickname, Peanut. And one day, my boss, Doug Foley's talking to me, and he just says Peanut. And I'm like, and he mentioned it within the line of other teams and other drivers, like Terry Haddock and Bodie. And he says, in all of this, he says Peanut. And I'm like, who the heck are you talking about, dude? So how did you pick up Peanut?
Well, being a junior, my sister named me that years ago. I mean, like 50 years ago or better. And it stuck. And when I started driving, Ellen Reinhardt asked me, he said, what do you want me to do? I said, just run with it. Because that's what everybody knew me as. So that's just what they call me.
Well, now I know that it's Peanut out there in the pits because, like I said, when Foley said that, I'm like, "What in the world? Who in the world are you talking about?" Okay, well,
Yeah.
we need to get a big Peanut then on the car with like tires smoking and a hat, an injector hat on it, and that'd be like your trademark and your theme. We need to get that done there, Dale.
I'm sure we could come up with something.
Hey,
did
speaking of.
Peanuts stickers on the window that had peanut on it. It looked like a peanut with peanut in the middle of it, written in the middle of it for a long time, but we ran out of them.
I like that. We got to get some more of those. We need to get a planter sponsorship for you. That
Well, it has been mentioned.
yeah.
And I definitely am not opposed because it would fit right in. So
It would. It definitely would. I mean, hey, peanut. Can free samples in the NHRA pits of all the different style of peanuts and cashews. That would be awesome. I'd love that. I'd be over at y'all's pits a whole lot more. I would say that.
yeah. Well, I mean, at one time peanuts were taboo in the pits. You know,
that's right. Yes,
the color green, you couldn't have that.
That's right.
I said, well, they call me Peanut. So we were at an NHRA race, and we got to our pit Sunday morning, and somebody had crushed a bag of peanuts all over the golf cart, thinking that was bad luck, and we won the race. So I during my interview, I thanked whoever put them there because it was my good luck charm.
There you go. Hey, turn that supposed bad luck charms to a good luck charm, and yeah, there definitely have been some strange ones. The peanut, I've heard peanuts, peanut shells, green, don't have a number that reads the same if you flip upside down. Don't have that. Those type of things. So drivers can definitely be superstitious. And do you have any of those particular things that like you have to do each and every time before you get in the car to keep everything the same and know you've done it?
Not really. We do this. My guys and I have done this for years. So most of that is pretty much routine. We will discuss small things like air bottles and make sure that stuff is filled. But I don't really have any superstitions because to me they're silly. And I know people have them, and I don't have anything against it. It's just you can't have stuff like that holding over you. If something goes wrong, you can't blame that. If something goes wrong, it's either something you did or something you should have done. So I really don't believe in superstitions like that.
I like that. I've believed for a very long time that you make your own luck through how prepared or unprepared you are. Basically,
Absolutely.
That's really what happens. That's really what you do.
Yep.
So look, Texas Motorplex, they put it on big. They put it on Texas style. What did you think of Friday and Saturday and Sunday, having the extra qualifying round back and having 4? What all did you think of the event?
I thought it was back to normal. I mean, Billy Meyer always puts on a great show, but the extra financial incentive that they put in place for travel expenses made the decision for us because they offered extra money to come down there. Coming from Billy Meyer or the state, somebody else was paying it. Not NHRA was involved, but they weren't bringing the money in. By doing that, they had 18 cars and 18 good cars. So, that may be something to look into for other racetracks, just to have an incentive to have more cars come.
Definitely. They did a good job. The show was good, and yes, having those incentives in place were cool. And look, I loved Friday night that the top qualifier held that check until they were knocked out of the saddle by someone faster. I thought those type of things were pretty cool, and they were fun.
Yeah, that was definitely, everybody was swinging for the fence because that was a huge incentive for that number one qualifier for that night. And, I realized that they probably can't offer that much every time, but if they did do that, they would have more people swinging for the fence because let's face it, the big teams swing for the fence at night anyway. So this would give other teams incentive to come out there and maybe push a little harder.
Right. I mean, you definitely John Force was swinging for the fence. You know, we saw the aftermath of swinging, and Robert Height obviously swung for the fence. So that definitely took place, and that definitely happened. And Brittany, fires off what she does. So the extra money and it being the right conditions, and it just puts on a stellar show for everybody involved. Well, speaking of show, what is the next show for the Creasy family, or was the Texas Motorplex the last run for 2021?
That was it for this year. We will regroup and be back out next year. Normally, we start at the Charlotte 4-wide because I love the 4-wide. I think I'm the only driver that actually loves the 4-wide, but it can't get any cooler lining up against 3 other funny cars when you're sitting in a car. I mean, to me, that's just cool. So that's normally where we start. I'll just have to look at the new schedule and see how things work out.
All right. Well, we definitely look forward to seeing you next year in 2022. And thank you for campaigning the car for another year. And awesome that you all were able to accomplish this milestone. And before we let you go, Dale, one last time, just want to give you the floor and you say thank you to whoever you need to say thank you to.
Yeah, I just want to thank you for having me, and thank my sponsors: Tech Pack, Beaver Shredding, ISC Racer Tape. I mean, there's so many on there that I know I'm forgetting something, but David Goodson and all the people that help us, and my teammate, my crew, everybody that's there. I appreciate everything, and hopefully we can continue on.
Well, I know you all definitely will, and folks, check out those folks supporting Dale Creasy Jr. Dale, thanks for being on the show, man.
All right, thank you, sir.
All right,
Bye.
Folks, that is Dale Creasy Jr. We just had him on live via audio, and love those independent guys out there in the Nitro ranks. Guys, look, you get a chance, go by the hauler and buy their T-shirt, or find that particular trailer carrying their T-shirt. Go by and get a hero card. Talk to those crew guys. Talk to those drivers of these smaller teams. There's nothing wrong with the bigger teams. There's not. But I believe you can just have a different experience with the smaller teams than you can the big teams. So I, for a long time, have had a particular interest in the smaller teams. They don't show up necessarily at every race, but when they do show up, you can't count them out because they can sneak up on you and nip a round win or two every now and then and throw a wrench in the system, as it were, for the bigger teams. We've definitely seen that with the Creasy family operation. We've seen that with the Bodie operation. We've seen that with the Terry Tottens and the Joey Hosses of the world. It can, and it does, it will happen again type of scenario. Well, ladies and gentlemen, look, thank you for watching along. It was great to have Dale on and chat with him. And few more moments. You got any other questions, put them in a hurry. Let's talk about it before I sign off. Between the Slicks, Thursday night, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I think the most diverse drag racing talk show there is, where we talk PDRA, we talk NHRA, Southeast Gasford Association, Funny Car Chaos. By the way, Funny Car Chaos, Chris Graves did announce that they will have their Funny Car Classic, as they're going to call it, in 2022. In essence, it was Nitro Madness here in 2021. You can see that racing footage on the Monday Morning Racer YouTube channel. The race in which you had like 70-something funny cars show up for it, where they're going to be doing it again at the Texas Motorplex in March. I believe the 22nd, the 23rd. Don't hold me to that. Go look it up, funnycarchaos.com. Google Funny Car Chaos. You'll find the information. You need to be in Texas for like 70 plus funny cars. And this year, he's already got one under his belt. People know what's happening, know the gig, and there's like no conflict, I think, as of now, with any big shows for the NHRA or regional events. So we may very well see some more big show cars show up. We may see like the Sean Bellemier's show up and the DJ Cox's show up. Maybe even Brian Golick and Scrow show up for something like that, and you have some of the heaviest hitters in the nostalgia big show alcohol ranks start duking it out under the great platform that Chris Graves has put in place with 8th Mile drag racing. That's heads up, run what you brung, just get it down the track and see if you can win it type of show. I know this much. Dale Worsham, if you're out there, you got to come back because you almost had it, but then the alcohol car got you in the final round. I want to see Dale back driving at that event and get him a win in the A field for sure. Drag Racing Central chimes in, says the smaller teams take way more time to the fans. I remember when I was 5 years old, talked with TJ Zizzo for like 10 minutes. And that's what I mean. Look, John Force, he's swamped with so many fans. It's not that he doesn't take time for the fans. He does. He does take time for the fans. And I've seen him do more for the fans at particular other times. But you are going to have a different interaction when there are just less people. And if you take the time and you talk with these guys, you learn they're a small business owner, you learn they work some type of job, and they just love drag racing as much as you. They just happen to be driving a car. There could just be a bond created, and you'll become a fan of another driver and someone else, even though they might not have the best of performance yet. They're keeping folks honest, and you can appreciate their work ethic, and you can appreciate what they're putting into the sport. So it is good to see, at least from what I've heard on several different angles, that this year the NHRA has been like, hey, we realize we need the Foleys and the Zizzos and the Creasys and the Bodies, and to make all this come together and be professional drag racing. And let me say this. How great is it the sport of drag racing is where it is? And I mean it in this way, in this fashion. Is it challenging to go out there and run a top fuel dragster? Well, duh. But you can be a successful businessman in another area and another sector. And as long as you're a successful businessman or lady, you could theoretically go top fuel drag racing tomorrow if you had the initiative, the drive, and the money. That's why I was asked several weeks ago on this show, what do you think it takes to be a successful drag racer? And I said, I think it takes to be, I think you got to be a successful businessman. And why is that? You got to be a successful businessman to make deals to get you out on the track, and you got to make deals to keep you on the track, because they're all business. So if you're a successful businessman not in racing, you probably will have what it takes to bring to the table and find others to come on and be a part of your deal around the table by being a successful businessman. Darren Williams Jr., right there, Buddy Holt. He is a Vertex. That's the company on the top of the car. It's a roofing company in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. And when I talk about like roofing, I mean, we're not talking about, little shacks. I mean, we're talking about like cathedrals and $1 million homes, $1 million homes he's roofing. And what a fabulous job his crew does. I've seen the photos and I've seen the work, and he is a successful businessman, and he happens to love drag racing. Or I think another one is Kyle Wurtzel. I mean, ladies and gentlemen, the man is a financial planner. You wouldn't think of this guy being a drag racer, but no, instead of going to the beach and going to Bermuda for vacation, he goes drag racing, and it happens to be a top fuel dragster, and he is a financial planner. We've had him on the show. We've talked to him, and it's a fascinating story. But I do say, again, successful drag racer, you probably need to be a successful business individual as well. That's my 2 cents. That's been my observation. Tim Wilkerson, I think that's a great point. Drag Racing Central also says, I see Doug Foley winning or coming close to a win next year. Man, from everything I have heard from Doug, and he was in he was in Ennis at the Texas Motorplex. He was just hanging out, had some business things happening. Talked to him. that team, Foley Lewis Racing, next year with Aaron Brooks on board and the determination that Doug has, and by the way, being a successful businessman himself, I would not be shocked for at least a final round appearance, if not a win next year with the races that we intend to attend next year in 2022. The Torrances, see, great example. That's what I'm. If you start looking at it, these people are successful business people, and you can still do that in drag racing. Look, if you're a successful business person, you probably still can't go and buy a NASCAR ride. You probably still can't go and buy an IndyCar ride. You're probably going to have to find partners and things of that nature, but you can go get your license in a Nitro Funny car and race as a successful business person. John Force. That's right. You know, everybody likes to think that John is this wild, crazy character, and he is. And that he like gets preoccupied with kittens, you know. But no, he's actually a very savvy business individual, and he understood how to get things accomplished, whether it was, you know, no matter what means it was by, he's got it done, and he's accomplished it. And like last year, them sitting out a year and not racing, that was smart business. That's what that was. That was smart business for his partners. See, Connie Coletta, Drag Racing Central. That's right. You keep going down the list. There's not many of these guys that are just hired guns or they're just drivers. Drag racing is the American dream motorsport that you worked your tail off and you made a way and you got yourself a ride. Drag racing. As Wes Buck would say, the great American motorsport. I don't disagree. This has been Between the Slicks. I'm the Monday Morning Racer. Thank you, Dale Creasy Jr., for being on the show. Ladies and gentlemen, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and until next time, I'm the Monday Morning Racer saying God bless and keep the pedal to the metal. Hero Soap Company is a veteran-owned establishment that produces all-natural, essential oils infused soap that is sold with a portion of the proceeds supporting other veteran groups. Hero Soap Company. Heroes supporting heroes. Be a hero yourself and buy a bar and let freedom clean.